Welcome to the Extreme Channel. Today we are doing an in-depth review of this 1/4 scale Iron Studios Daredevil statue. Right here. Right here. Hope it's good. As the Extreme Channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Thanks for tuning into the Extreme Channel. Really excited today because we're looking at a statue that I've been trying to get for a long time. Now what's really interesting about this is I don't need a Daredevil statue. I actually own quite a few. First one I ever bought was this one by Sideshow Collectibles. It is their Sideshow premium format. Then they had a Shadowlands variant, and I really like the Shadowlands storyline, so I went ahead and nabbed that. But when this one came out, I had it on order, and I decided to cancel it due to delays, which was a mistake in my opinion, because this one may be better than Sideshow's. So what we're actually going to do is, in a different video, stay tuned, make sure you've not only liked this video, but you've subscribed to the channel and you've hit that bell notification. We're going to do what we call an Extreme Rumble or an Extrumble. It's a comparison video between different Daredevil statues, including this one, the Sideshow, and some others. Now, I have another custom one on order that I'm going to talk about in that video as well. But as I said, Iron Studios made this, and I've never been the biggest fan of Iron Studios 1/4 scale statues. I've owned some in the past, and recently I've been buying some ones that were released in the last year or so, including this one and this Spider-Man piece that I also recently did a video on, which will be launching very soon if it hasn't launched already. But today we're going to do an in-depth review, as in-depth as we can, with this Daredevil statue. Now, what you see is what you get. I'm not sure what you see, because... there it is. Oh, feels beautiful. Can't wait to do this review. But let's go ahead and let's kick off this review, starting with concept. Now, when it comes to concept of these statues, it's kind of, what's going on? Is it cool? Did they display the character? Does it follow a storyline? And that's where this one is really, really awesome. So typically with Daredevil, you have him on top of a building. A lot of times there is definitely some type of his heritage with the Catholicism. Here on the base, you have kind of the top of a steeple, or maybe it's inside the church with some angelic figures. There's broken battle damage all around. And Daredevil himself is kind of standing on top of it, ready to fight. He's got this pose where he's leaping forward. And then you see that tie back to Daredevil. Like I said, big Catholic. You see, or you feel in the back, the stained glass window. He's leaning forward. He's got his billy clubs out. He's ready to fight. And it's just a great representation of the character. I love the marble aspects of it. We're going to talk about during paint and sculpt when we do some video close-ups. But really, really, I think this is a great concept for Daredevil. I think it takes it to the next level. While it's very similar to all the other Daredevil statues that have been done pretty much, it really encompasses him well. It shows his strength. It shows his power. He looks like a badass, the stern expression on his face. So I'm going to go ahead and give the concept a 5 out of 5. It feels fantastic. Now, next is design. Design encompasses a lot of things. It encompasses measurements, unboxing assembly, switch outs. So first, let's do the measurements on this piece. Alright, so it's about this tall, this wide, and about this deep. So let's check out the unboxing and assembly. Fairly light box for a statue. I didn't take a look at the art box, which it was probably amazing. You're probably going to lose sleep, but standard straps with Iron Studios. Here was the first layer. Everything was rewrapped in wax paper because I'll talk about it a little bit more later. This was a second-hand purchase. So here's the second layer, has mostly the base in it. Now, there are no switch outs. What you see is what you get. Now, everything fit together really well. I think the big design flaw on this is actually the cord between the billy clubs. Since I bought this secondhand, we'll talk about that in value, it was already stretched out a little bit, which obviously is going to happen over time. And that's the same thing with the sideshow statues. We'll talk more about that during that upcoming video with the Extrumble. So while there aren't any switch outs, I don't think there needs to be. I think this looks fantastic, and I like everything about it. It's really not that big of a footprint. So other than the billy club, it's a 4 out of 5 on the design, done really, really well. Paint and sculpt, this is where I'm really impressed because I think this is where Iron Studios usually falls a little bit, especially with the bases. But here, I don't think that's the case. Check it out. All right, so let's dive into this guy, starting with the base where, honestly, Iron Studios has shown a lot of improvement lately. What they've done here is that we talked about, it's kind of either the bottom or the top of a church building. So they gave it this kind of rustic concrete stone look. I love all the breaks in it, whether it's just from aging over time, some of the battle damage that you see on the actual statues. The colors, I would prefer a darker color if we're talking about just the church itself. And there are some variations in the different shading that they have, some darker grays, but even like some yellows and greens almost to kind of give it that aged, weathered look. But I do like this because I think it contrasts Daredevil well, and they even have some of those darker colors like on the pillars right here and the arches. So it mixes in nice. But it's almost just a little bit too beige for me, but it looks good. And like I said, the intricate work in the stones, whether they're broken or just the natural seams in them, are fantastic. Let's look at the stained glass window. I think this looks great as well. It does have a little bit of a plastic feel, but that's what you'd expect. They're not going to ship real glass, and it's reinforced really well, so that way nothing's broken when ships. But the different colors just kind of contrast everything else and make it pop, especially when you have light running through it. So they did a great job. And I like the fact that it's broken up here and it doesn't cover too much of Daredevil depending what angle you're coming from. That's more of a design thing. So even the angels that they did here look great, look like the Hallmark stuff you would buy, but a little more well done. So on Daredevil, you have a couple things going on. While it's all red and there's this monotony of red, they did different shading and different texturing to kind of vary it up, and it's all over. So they made it very muscular as well. If you look at the anatomy of him, more bulky than you traditionally see a Daredevil, but I like that because that's kind of, he beats thugs to an oblivion, so it makes sense. So it could be indicative too of the fact that his costume is armored, and not your typical armor like a knight would wear, but just so he doesn't get his ass kicked. But he has his traditional Ninja Turtle shoes, almost a mix between sandals. I like that they're not boots, so it really ties back to those martial arts roots. The straps that hold his case on here look great. A lot of detail. And again, everything's wrapping really well. You see some folds, so there's a lot of natural movement to this statue. This is like what he would look like if a real person had this kind of physique and was perched over. The folds in the costume, the folds in the muscle. They went a little bit too much on the dark shading in between the muscles. I know that's kind of a standard practice when painting statues, but a little bit too much there. But again, some really good detail here. His bows look great, or his billy clubs. I keep calling them bows, I don't know why. There's the cord we talked about. The pouches, Iron Studios did a fantastic job with that. I would have liked, I think the sideshow ones, I'm gonna film that Extrumble video next. I think they're black, and I think that would have helped vary up the statue, but this might be a little more comic accurate. I'd have to check. Last Daredevil comic I read was kind of recent, but it was the Shadowlands, where he was in the black costume and possessed. His gloves right there, you see the extra padding on the outside. And I think the same thing with the shoulder blades. It almost looks like this leather appearance, which I like. Now let's move to the portrait. Again, a great stern expression. I like how the eyes are glossed over a little bit. Almost make it that beady red eyes to kind of scare the criminals even more. You can see his ears behind the cowl here, the horns. And again, just a serious expression. The skin tone looks great. It's the only place obviously you see skin. lips are a little too pink for me, but just slightly, nothing horrible. But yeah, just fantastic job on the paint and sculpt. Really impressed by Iron Studios on this piece, which I think most people were when they picked it up, so great job. All right, let's start with the paint. I think it really pops. You know, with Daredevil, the problem is he's all red, and I think it's a good contrast to the stone-like structures and the different colors and the stained glass and the different shading we talked about in the red. So I think it's a 4 out of 5 on the paint. It's done really well. I am impressed. Now, regarding the sculpt, again, like I said, I like the fact that he's very muscular. You can actually look, it looks like it's padding in his armor. I think some of the base is good. It's not great, but I think overall they do get a 4 out of 5 on the sculpt as well. All right, value for this guy. Now, we're not actually going to score the value, but he originally retailed at $705, and they made 550 of them. That's at least what the base on the bottom says, even though Sideshow's website said 600. Now, he's been sold out for a while, and I've been watching him close. He usually sells for around 1,000 or so. I was lucky enough to get him at $750 plus shipping and fees, so I think it ended up being like $840 when it was all said and done. So I'm very happy with the deal that I got on him because I plan to keep him for a long, long time because I have an entire Daredevil setup. We'll talk more about that in the comparison video. But does he have the X factor? Is he a 5 out of 5 statue? You know, with Charlie Cox coming back to the MCU, the teaser that we saw in Spider-Man No Way Home, I'm very excited. I love the Netflix series like everybody else. It got me more into Daredevil. I'd kind of been away from Daredevil for a while, but I love all the characters that Daredevil teams up with. So that makes me really excited about the statue. I think this is close to a 5 out of 5 statue. I think it has the X factor, but not quite. So the end score is a very strong 4 out of 5 on this piece, in my opinion. So comment below, did you guys like Ben Affleck or Charlie Cox's portrayal of Daredevil better? The reason why I asked you to comment that is because of this. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I really mean that. Honestly, I can't see a thing. I'm so glad nothing broke during that or did it and I edited it out. Who knows? The members know. If you don't know what that means, hit subscribe. Drop me a like on the way out. I really appreciate it. Make sure to stay tuned for that upcoming Extreme Rumble video. Take care, guys.